Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. We've got a fantastic lineup. Once again, we start off football Euros, exciting. Spain are through to the final. So all predictions, everything has now come to the conclusion. Spain have beaten France 2-1 in the semi-final, and they have now reached the final as well. It's been a fantastic campaign for the Spanish team so far, and I must say that the night belongs to Lamine Yamal. Absolutely superb. After France got the first goal in the 8th minute to, for a 16-year-old to score the equalizer, and in this fashion is, the other day I was saying Saka scored probably one of the best goals of this tournament, but I think Yamal's goal, nobody's going to come closer to that as well. I think absolutely superb. You got to talk about this as well, and definitely I think France never recovered. And there you see on your screens as well the goal that I'm talking about. Absolutely fantastic. Schoolboy energy is definitely there, natural level football, and I think the talent's been given the right respect and platform as well. So we'll talk about that, and then of course tonight we'll talk about England taking on the Netherlands. Whoever wins makes it through to the final and faces the mighty Spain now, we must say. So the Dutch against the Brits, I think fantastic defense, but then again how England do come after them. It's going to be a very tactical game for me, I think. So we'll talk about that game as well. We move on to Copa America. Then Argentina have managed to reach the final. They've beaten Canada, and I think they're in line to probably once again be crowned the champions of South American football. They were absolutely brilliant, and they have been, I think if you talk about this team as well, they've played clinical football. Of course, against Canada, you must say you didn't see that flair, but then again, I think it really matters the most that, they've reached the final. So results were on their side as well. So we'll talk about that. Then we move on to the Pakistan Cricket Board, where finally that word of surgery now is giving us some results as well. So the first ones to be named are Wahab Riaz and Abdul Razak, who have been removed from the selection committee. It was said a week before that the selection is to blame for the woes of the World Cup, and finally we see that happening as well. Elsewhere, the chairman has given a free hand to cricket coaches. Foreign coaches have presented plans to improve teams' performance in the T20 World Cup. Green shirts showcased below par performance. Gillespie is of course leading the team for the first time in the Test series. He's our red ball coach against Bangladesh. So I think it's going to be very particular now. I've got a couple of news that I'll share with you, of course unconfirmed, but they do mean a lot of business, and I think a lot of sense is being made when you talk about certain decisions that have been taken off the record. Of course, they have reached us, so we'll share those with you as well. Time now to start our show with football, of course, the Euros, like I said. In studios joining us is Ali Mehdi, our sports expert. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Welcome, Salam. I'm very well.
We've also been joined by sports expert Taha, who's joining us as well. Taha, Haider, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum assalam, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Thank you for joining us as well. Now, Ali Mehdi, of course, I'm sure you're dejected. It wasn't the French football that you expected. You got to give credit to Spain, always on top of their game last night. But there was so much France could have done, but it will always be now that, they could have.
Look, when it comes to Spain this year in these championships, look, there's not been any team which you could say, wow, in scintillating football. It's been incredible. The thing, Ahmed, over here is that Spain is a young team, and the best thing what Spain has done is that they've done enough to progress through each round. 7 matches in a row they've won. Nobody really gave them a chance. But look, people were criticizing the same. They're saying they're the nursery of football. It's like they're kids over there. But the fact of the matter is over here that they've got the job done. They don't have the superstars of the Iniestas, the Xavis, the Ramosos, the Casillas. What they have is that they have a new generation which is coming up. You're talking about Lamel over here. Lamel yesterday scored a scintillating goal. You talk about Morata, now the linchpin over there, carrying the team over there. Rodri, the best defensive midfielder in the world. Then you talk about Unai Simon, which people don't talk about. He's a very good this keeper over there, a good shot stopper. And then at the end of the day, you have, people like just Jesus Navas, who's almost entering his 40s. You have a good team over there, and you have a team which can get through. So, I mean, at the end, then obviously you have Olmo over there and Minero over here. But the fact of the matter is the Spain yesterday got the job done. They've been able to do what other teams haven't been able to, is that get the job done. They've already beaten the mighty Germany. They went yesterday, and against French, you thought that maybe the French could upset the apple cart, but no, Spain were absolutely fabulous. in the way that France started off very well. In the first 10 minutes, they dominated, but then after that, Spain, once Lamel scored that goal, there was no turning back. And then once they got that second goal, which I feel was an own goal too, I mean, France, you have to say they look completely disoriented. They didn't have that chemistry. They didn't have that, fluidity which they've had, which helped them win the World Cup in 2018 or helped make them go to the
I think
2022
never recovered
final.
from the equalizer. They just did their hands swell. I think
No, they really did, because the way Lamel actually scored that scintillating goal, the way he scored that, it was like a bullet the arrow went straight through their hearts, Ahmed.
I mean, that is somebody who's trusting his instinct. So Taha, I believe that, we do remember that you did say Spain's going to triumph in this game, but the fact is that, when you talk about for somebody who's 16 years of age to produce something like that, it really tells us the, grassroots system that Spanish football enjoys.
I think the first thing you need to even be able to pull off a goal like that is the confidence to take the shot. Most players, especially the youngsters, they're not that confident and they're scared and they just pass around to get a better and closer to the goal and get an easier chance and probably try and get a goal from there. But the confidence that he showed to take that shot, not once, but he also took another shot later on in the match, which went just above the goal, which shows that he has the confidence and it is not really that easy to get. And I think that France were a side that started very well, created chances, that cross into Kolo Muani, who finished it brilliantly with the header. And the thing was that after that they just really sat back, and when they did create chances, they had no players in goal scoring positions. So when they only had Kolo Muani and Mbappe there, and when they took chances and shots, they couldn't get players in rebound. The players couldn't get rebounds in good positions, which didn't allow them to capitalize on the lucky balls which usually players do get from chances.
Well, French have been disappointing, Taha, throughout the tournament. We've talked about that. The reality is there. I think Didier's future right now is probably more certain than anyone else in this team. Mbappe has not been performing to his level. The playmakers have been getting more of the ball. There have been so many problems. How do you define it in a nutshell for France?
I think in a nutshell, it's basically a bit of everything. Firstly, the tactics were quite bland to an extent, because you were playing with three defensive midfielders, and I think three midfielders with defensive personalities doesn't really work that well with a side that has really wingers that go out wide and try and create from out wide. So you need someone in the half spaces just outside the box to create the chances, which is not that easy for defensive minded midfielders. Players like Griezmann or even someone like Kamavinga would have helped a bit more for France to create better chances.
Ali Mehdi, now, because I think France chapter is probably closed, so we can definitely talk about Spain, talk about the woes of France, but like I said, in a nutshell, I must ask you two simple questions. One is the future of Didier, which is probably, like I said, more certain than ever what's going to happen, and what's the next way forward that French football needs to focus on?
No, Ahmed, that's a very good question, and you've also been mentioning on other platforms regarding Didier Deschamps. I have to give you laud you for that. Look, when you talk about football, it comes in cycles. You talk about Spain. Spain had a brilliant cycle, the best international team of this century. 2008 to 2012, 2 European championships, 1 World Cup, they were brilliant. That cycle ended, then they went for a few years, then they weren't able to win anything, and now a new cycle is beginning, which could be the beginning of with the European championships here in Germany. French football is similar. You talk about Didier Deschamps, the way he's taken this team, he's taken them to 2 World Cup finals, 1 World Cup they've won, one European Championship final in 2016 when they lost to Portugal, a semi-final over, and let's not forget a Uefa Nations League too. So he's done whatever he could. He's done extremely well with this team, but look, the cycle is over now. They need to start afresh over here. The thing with them is that now a new generation is coming, and they need new fresh tactics, a new person who can lead them into that 2026 World Cup in the USA, Mexico, and in Canada. So I think that generation is over. And when it comes to France, one thing I want to talk about in that is that the too much over dependence on Mbappe. Mbappe going into this for the past 1 year, I don't think he's been good. He's been shoddy. He's been thinking too much about Real Madrid. We know about his contract, with his problems with Paris Saint-Germain.
I think the only thing that's been on his mind is that PSG to Real Madrid transfer.
Yeah, that's the only thing which has been on his mind. And look, he was also that, and the obsession of making a Champions League final, which he wanted to win. So his performances haven't haven't set the world alight like they did in the 2022 World Cup, when he was the top scorer, and he took France to the final, or when they won the 2018 World Cup. They need to start fresh, just like Spain did over here. Bring new, fresh blood over there. But it all starts with the manager. Didier Deschamps now needs to decide to go and let new, fresh blood come in.
Absolutely. I think that really sums up this first semi-final. It's tonight, England against the Netherlands for the second team who's going to make it to the final and face Spain for a challenge at them. I think it's going to be a real challenge. Whoever qualifies and faces Spain in the final for the Euros, they will surely deserve it if they're able to pull it off as well. But Taha, how do you see this game? We've analysed it before as well, but now considering Spain is going to be the opposition.
I think the main thing in the semi-final will be the battle will be in the midfield, with the Netherlands players who are very press resistant in Reinders and Schouten. They will make it very hard for England to win the ball back in the heart of midfield, and their ability to pass the ball around quite comfortably to the wingers, who are their main chance creators, will allow Netherlands to create big chances, and it will be mostly how England's full-backs and centre-backs can deal with those wingers in Cody Gakpo and whoever starts, in either Bergwijn or Malen or whoever starts on the
certainly.
side.
Ali Mehdi, I think it's a tactical game today. Southgate's probably got to pull a golden page out of his book if he wants to do something special, because obviously momentum is clearly with England. I understand that. The Dutch have been hammered against Turkey, although they won that game. Those last 10 minutes really changed the outcome there as well.
Yeah, but the thing is that, look, it all depends on the night who performs well. I mean, everybody wanted, the whole world wanted Turkey, except obviously the Dutch. Other than the Dutch fans, the whole world wanted Turkey to go because they played such good football the other day. But I think the Dutch would have learned a lesson, and obviously Taha knows Virgil van Dijk and obviously Cody Gakpo too. Virgil van Dijk is that sort of a person who actually really instills that confidence into the team. He knows that they haven't been performing well. They got beaten by Austria 3-2 in the group stage. They weren't good against Turkey, but I think they're going to really give out their best against England over here. It is going to be a battle of, you could say that I don't think there are going to be too many goals. The ball is really going to be in the middle of the pitch, and you have to say that there aren't going to be many goals.
But analyze it in two different ways, Ali Mehdi. Do both of these teams, whoever qualifies, have enough in their tank to pull off a miracle against Spain in the final?
Look, I think it's too early to talk about that. We can talk about that, what that happens. The first step is to win the semi-final and to make another European Championship final. Then obviously you can get through that. I think Spain is too far ahead right now. You have to see what's ahead of you. They're playing at Dortmund tonight, and both teams are even-steven, but I would still give it to England. Reason being is because England have match winners in that. They haven't been fluid, but in the last match, I thought they played very well. Against Switzerland, they've actually stepped up a gear, and they are going to probably play even better today. The likes of Foden is over there, the likes of Kobe Mainu, who I think has had the highest passing rate of 96%, absolutely brilliant. And being a Manchester United fan, I think I'm very happy to see him perform very well. Harry Kane hasn't been good. It's very important that Harry Kane gets involved in that box too. He knows he needs to step it up. And then obviously the person who you had said that has been the beacon for England, Pickford over there. So I mean, if you look at that team, it's full of superstars for England, but then the Dutch with Virgil van Dijk, Cody Gakpo, Bergwijn over there, with the likes of Memphis, who hasn't performed, there, and then De Vrij, who I think is a brilliant defender over there. You can't write them off. But one thing is for sure is that I slightly have to give the edge to England because of their superstars, and because Southgate will have one thing to prove, to make another European Championship final.
Absolutely. Well, that can be the case as well. But Taha, to beat Spain, I think there must be something special that needs to be pulled out of that trick bag. So if you analyze both of them differently, if the Dutch qualify, if the English qualify, do you see a real challenge up for Spain in the final?
I think if England qualify, I don't really see a big challenge. England haven't been able to create the biggest of chances, and even their goal against Switzerland from Bukayo Saka was an out-of-the-box goal and not really seen. And if Spain keep playing how they do play, especially with Robin Lenormand back and Carvajal back in for the next game, I think they'll be quite easy to block out those chances, and England will have to create really intricate passes to score goals, which will be very difficult. But I think Netherlands will have a better chance if they do win the semi-final, because even though they don't have two of their best midfielders in Koop Meiners and Frankie de Jong, they will, however, they've changed their tactics around to allow for their ball retaining players who don't really lose the ball too easily, and they've used them to work the ball around the whole ground and keep hold of the possession really nicely, which does create more chances as you keep hold of more of the ball.
Well, certainly that can be the case as well, but obviously now towards the close of this segment we move on to Copa America, where Argentina have defeated Canada to reach the final as well, and elsewhere you've got Uruguay taking on Colombians, and Colombians are going to surprise you, you never know. But Ali Mehdi, how do you see Copa going? Obviously Argentina tipped to be right now the favorite to win this.
Yeah, Argentina favorites. They beat Canada. They weren't great on the night, but they got the job done. Messi scoring his opening goal of this tournament, and then obviously Alvarez also performing on the night too. But the fact of the matter is that now we shift. They've already booked their place in Miami. They'll be playing at Miami Stadium, Hard Rock Cafe Stadium on Sunday. But who's going to join them? That is the interesting question. Colombia versus Uruguay. Now both teams are very similar. You know, Uruguay have done the hard job. They beat an out of sorts Brazil on penalties, and have gone through. Colombia, on the other hand, 5-0 against Panama. Yes, Panama isn't a great team, but to win with so many goals, they must be oozing with confidence, Ahmed. They have incredible players, and led by the player who's just been, who has been mentioned at all, James Rodriguez. I mean, he's been one shining light. He's been there for so many years with that experience, along with Liverpool's Diaz over there. I think they have a better chance. I actually think Colombia might edge this one. And with a defender like David Sanchez over there and a very rock solid defense, it's going to be a difficult one to call. But I'm actually going to go for Colombia because of that experience and that desire to make a Copa America final, something they haven't done in a long time.
Well, certainly. Taha, how would you fancy Argentina's chances to win this one?
I think Argentina would be 51 to 49% favorites. I think if Uruguay are to qualify, I think Uruguay will present a very strong challenge, even without Ronald Araujo, who I think has been injured for the rest of the tournament. But because they weren't able to keep hold of the possession too much against Canada, and Canada created plenty of very good chances, especially in the second half, where they had most of the chances created in that match. So I think Argentina will need to sort out how they handle the ball, especially with blocking out the chances from the other side, whether it's Colombia or Uruguay. But I think Uruguay will be the better opposition to give Argentina a run for their money.
Well, certainly that can be the case as well, but thank you very much, Taha, for joining us. On that note, we go towards a short break, but when we come back, of course, we discuss cricket in detail. Stay tuned to Sports Extra. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Now to take things further in studios, we've been joined by our expert. He's a fellow anchor as well. Of course, a manager at various positions in football, cricket. You talk about many sports, national and international. Saeed Mohammad Awais. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum salam. How are you, Ahmed bhai?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for joining us. So, Awais, I think the news is pretty clear now. The first decisions of this surgery are in front of us. So they've clearly identified that selection was the problem. They've got rid of two of those people in the selection committee, Wahab Riaz and Abdur Razak. How do you see this forward?
I was a little bit shocked, because every time the surgery is done in a team, I mean, where your players and specifically your coaching staff gets fired, but it's the first time in Pakistan cricket board history, if I'm not wrong, that a management, you can say upper level management, even is under scrutiny, and it was important. I mean, you have to do at least make a bench lineup over here, make a mark from the Pakistan cricket board that whoever it is who's responsible will be under the radar, and the chairman has been doing a fabulous job over here, because if you remember, Wahab Riaz has been with the Pakistan team in that circuit from many years, I mean from many months, and no one knew that he would be fired first, but there has been a statement from Wahab Riaz. I was just reading it out that he says that it was just not me, it was 7 to 6 people who have decided the Pakistan team, and I would issue a statement in the evening. Let's see what the statement comes up over here. But again, I'll say, Ahmed bhai, we need to scrutinize everything, just not the Pakistan national team, your domestic structure, your down the under 19 structure, your club cricket. It needs to be scrutinized now. If you want to have results for the Pakistan in the future, specifically focusing just on the Champions Trophy, then you got the Asia Cup next year coming up, then you got the World Cup coming up. After that, you really need to structurize everything over here. Your Pakistan under 19, specifically your Pakistan Shaheens tour, they really need to be more every year. I mean, you need to have more players involved in it to at least groom them for the Pakistan team. And good side, I would say that they're focusing more on domestic structure now. Babar Azam being appointed again as a captain. There was news coming up. It's just not authentic. I would say still a news coming up that Babar Azam will stay as a captain till the Champions Trophy. Mohammad Rizwan might be the vice captain of Pakistan team. Good to have them into the domestic structure, find new talent, play domestic matches, just not 4 or 5 matches, play a full domestic structure, know what players are capable of, or are they can represent Pakistan or not.
Well, certainly, Ali Mehdi, there's been a lot of ruckus about Babar Azam only. And I've said it on many platforms. We've highlighted this together time and time again, that the real problem is not Babar Azam, it's the culture of the team that's been established, it's the selection, everything right now. So for the very first time, there's been the first public decision is that, selection committee has been held responsible. 2 members have been removed. But, unconfirmed reports are that Babar has been it's been decided that he's going to retain the captain to build a new team for the future. So how do you see these 2 things simultaneously?
Look, Pakistan cricket is what is happening at the moment. There's so much happening over here right now. Obviously, there's a selection committee, out of which 2 out of the 7 people in the middle of the night, it was the news came out that they've been removed from their positions too. Then obviously people have been talking about Babar Azam. Look, it's not about Babar Azam. It's not about the selection. It's about the whole system for that matter. And I have to give credit to, like Uwais mentioned here, to the chairman, Mohsen Naqvi Sahab, who's working very hard day in and day out. Obviously, he's focusing on the Champions Trophy, but it's obviously the grassroots level which needs to be focused on. It's at the under-19s women's cricket. I think women's cricket is one area which, we need to talk about, and Mohammad Wasim has actually taken for that as coach over there. Then obviously the Shaheens too. A lot is happening, behind closed doors, and, it needs to come out to the public that what exactly is happening. And this, this whole ruckus around the world, that there's disunity among the team, that should also come out, and that needs to be fixed, and it needs to come out to public. Because look, the Pakistan cricket team, the PCB, everything is public property. This is something which we thrive upon. The whole of the country talks about this. We always want our players to perform very well. For that, what needs to happen is that needs to be transparency, and at the same time, top to bottom, there has to be this transparency, exactly what's happening, and there needs to be change. It's not only about the selection committee and Babar Azam which is happening. It's everybody has to come under the microscope.
Well, certainly, but Ali Mehdi, the problem in the past when Babar was removed initially, and right now, there's been a lot of talk about his performance, his captaincy, everything. But the team around him, what resources you've given to a captain, I think that's never been really highlighted in Pakistan cricket. This probably could be the first time we see that happen.
I think it will be highlighted too. Obviously, we talk about that, but the team, the situation for this T20 World Cup with this whole team was thrusted upon him. He probably didn't acknowledge it. He had to do it half-heartedly, take this team in. So, he needs to have a say too. The captain, I always believe the captain should be part of the management and should have a strong say which players he wants based on their domestic performance. There needs to be good synergy, amongst the captain, the team management, and which players need to be selected for whatever particular series. So that's, something which needs to be highlighted. Yes, Babar hasn't been performing well. He is under the microscope. He is obviously going to get the same attention like the likes of the Virat Kohlis and the Fab Four for that matter too. He is Pakistan's, rough diamond, their diamond over here. But the fact over here is that you have to see which situation he was under, how much pressure he was under, what was thrusted upon it. Hopefully that way can, now that everything has come out in the open and now that the World Cup is over and so much surgeries are happening from top to bottom, hopefully that can come up to the out into the public too, and we can now start fresh.
Certainly. Awais, a couple of names are also circulating right now where it's been decided that, and I think it's most of the Pakistan team, that they must play and prove themselves in domestic cricket. For the time being, we might see most of those players be dropped. But on the sideline, there are names that are being taken, including Mohammad Haris, Abrar Ahmed, Usama Mir, Amir Jamal, players who might be drafted into the Pakistan side very soon.
See, they need to be. If you remember about Amir Jamal, I was speaking right now that he was the one in the Australian conditions where many of your Pakistani greats have have been a flop, but he was the one who fought well with the bat, with the ball too, and he was the one who could have been selected for the World Cup. Everyone, when speaking about Amir Jamal, had one thing, that he will be in the Pakistan World Cup squad, because you need a fast bowling all-rounder, where you have given many chances to Fahim Ashraf. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to deliver. Amir Jamal could have been one of the best choices as a fast bowling all-rounder. Secondly, Usama Mir, he was a strong contender for World Cup, top wicket taker of Pakistan Super League, but he was not the part of it. If you speak about the opening department, we have been speaking that before World Cup. If you remember, Ahmed Bhai, we had around 8 to 9 openers revolving around the opening position. Sahibzada Farhan, Abdullah Shafiq, you got Mohammad Haris. They were one of the ones who had performing well in the T20s too. I mean, so you never focused on a middle order. The middle order was the biggest issue for you. Osman Khan, even we praised him that he needs to be in the Pakistan team, but that showed lack of experience of domestic cricket to compete at the highest level, because he's never played many domestic matches. He never knew how to perform in the pressure situation. That's the point I'm saying on why domestic is very important to you. When you speak about Babar Azam as a captain, obviously captain takes the team. I mean, that this is my team. Whatever happens, I'm favorable for that. But the thing is that you need to stick around with your captain, with the management staff for at least 2 to 3 years. You need to have a plan over here. A coach joins the team before 15 days. What will he do? I mean, he can't produce a result for you. If you're focusing on the Champions Trophy, that means you need to give free hand to the head coach. You will have to give free hand to the team captain, because then they're answerable. Like what was the mistake? What had happened? But it's just not that. The things which happened in the World Cup, before this World Cup, if you remember, things happened. It's obviously a human psyche where many things come in your mind. It disturbs your performance.
But Wes, if the decision has been taken that they're going to give a free hand to both coaches Gillespie and Gary Kirsten in their respective formats, and they do take some harsh decisions, then I'm sure that you will also agree that a lot of former cricketers are going to make a lot of noise, because they won't like what's happening, because they'll lose control. And these are people who try to take control over through platforms of media. One of the statements has just come up from Shahid Afridi as well.
See, Ahmed Bhai, I know many of them won't like it, and still the statements are coming up. Like you just mentioned about Shahid Afridi, there are many cricketers who have been picking up the statements over here. But I can quote an example. India, they won the World Championship. Remember, Rohit Sharma was under scrutiny. Everyone said that he needs to be removed of the removed of the Indian team because of his behavior, and secondly the performances he has been giving on. But that's a shut-up call. I mean, the way he won the World Cup for you. Remember about England, it has been under scrutiny. Remember about Australia. So teams have been under scrutiny, but it's the cricket board and it's your team unit which actually backs you up that no, he's the one, we are focusing on him, and he'll be the one who will win the trophy for us. So that's the point I'm saying on that the Pakistan Cricket Board, the chairman, I mean, they have been doing a fabulous job, specifically the chairman, the way he has shown interest on the two coaches. He needs to show full backup to the captain, whoever the captain is, whether if it's Mohammad Rizwan as a vice captain, Babar Azam, then you can produce a result over here. You need to stick around with the team. You need to leave the media pressure. You need to focus on the team pressure now.
Well, certainly, that element of surprise was certainly there. But Ali Mehdi, like I said, that a couple of these names are being discussed, that certain players might be dropped, they might be replaced, like I highlighted some of the names, and then domestic performances. But if you are giving complete control, to foreign coaches, like I said, there are a lot of so-called, legends won't like it, obviously.
I mean, it doesn't matter whether the legends like it or not. At the end of the day, if it's for the betterment of Pakistan cricket, great, fantastic. And I think that, these foreign coaches obviously are coming. They are being paid big bucks over here. They need to obviously be given a free hand, and they need to be given responsibility, and they need to be held accountable for their performances too. I'm very excited about these two new coaches, especially Jason Gillespie. I've seen Jason Gillespie, for South Australia. He's been absolutely brilliant. He's been working there for a long time, and he specializes in red ball cricket. So I think he should, and along with Gary Kirsten. Obviously, Gary Kirsten, he came in early right now, just before literally just a week before the T20 World Cup started. So he didn't have much time to actually work on the ODI team, but he will have time leading up to that Champions Trophy. But now the focus is now towards Test cricket. Pakistan is playing about 9 Test matches, in which they're going to be playing there were 7 at home and then 2 away to South Africa too. So I'm very excited about that, and I think that the coaches really need to be given a free hand. Yes, the legends won't be happy about it, but look, if the chief over here, the chairman, is giving them a free hand, if the chairman trusts them, obviously the PCB is paying them, then it should be on merit basis. And look, the most important thing is we've been going about this for years and years, and we're going to go on for this for eons. But the fact of the matter is that they have to, all players have to play domestic cricket for that matter. They have to play domestic cricket. I know there's a lot of franchise cricket, there's a lot of this franchise cricket, and there's a lot of cricket around the globe, and there's a lot of globe trotting. But the thing is, you have to play domestic cricket, and on that basis, you need to actually be selected for the national team. Look, at the end of the day, that is the recipe for success too. And then also one thing I want to point out over here is that if you're going to have these mini tours of Zimbabwe and small tours like that, then you have to give.
But Ali, very simple as that. If you're going to do this, then like I said, like Avais highlighted, that we're expecting Wahab Riaz to release a statement. Before that, we had Hafiz release a statement when he was removed. Majority of then those people say that we weren't, we couldn't make those decisions right now. And the fact is that then categorically Chairman PCB said that people who spill all sorts of venom against players and PCB on the media platforms won't be given a place in the Pakistan Cricket Board setup. The fact is then the PCB need to shield themselves from all of this as well.
Yeah, PCB really need to. That's a very good point which you yourself and Avais actually highlighted over here, and that is that the PCB really need, we live in a digital age over here, Ahmed. We live in where social media actually dominates headlines. It literally runs our lives over here. That's why the PCB have to be on the front foot, and they, at the same time, be defensive towards this venom which comes through the media, through old cricketers.
Sorry for interrupting you. I'm Ali, sorry for interrupting. And one more thing, Ahmed bhai, the Pakistan Cricket Board now really needs to make one statement. See, I know it's your major tournament, Pakistan Super League, everyone focuses on that. They are your backbone of the Pakistan Super League, the franchises I'm talking about. They really need to stop interfering in the Pakistan Cricket Board business. Seriously, I'm talking about, because
I think that process already started right now, Wes, and I think right now the position in which Chairman PCB is, with 3 years of a tenure and elected chairman, we can expect a West for that to happen now, probably.
Because if you remember, just not the World Cup, in any major series, I would say, whenever a player does not perform, the franchises does not own him. I mean, you never see a social media post coming up. When a player performs, and you forget the domestic structure where he came from, which team he played for the domestic, where he actually built up his cricket, but that franchise, one or two franchises, they just pop up and say, this is the one we found out and this is the one we found out. I mean, this should not ever happen, because Pakistan, again, if you remember, Ahmed bhai, we have been speaking about that on the other shows too, that Pakistan, to captain a Pakistan cricket team, national team, it's not an easy job. If a franchise wanted to have one player to captain the Pakistan team, that he was the best one, you have seen the result. I mean, you need to inhale your pressure. It's not an easy job. The franchises really need to be out of the Pakistan cricket circuit. If not, literally it's going to be a circus now.
Well, that's a very, I think, strange word, but it's been a comedy of errors in the past couple of years. But we do move on. But then again, Wes, I'd like you to comment on that fitness part of it as well, because right now that is being a very critical subject. Jason Gillespie the other day also said that there should be no question that if you're playing the national side, your fitness should be, on the cards. You should be fit if you're in the national side. Simple as that.
See, it's important. I mean, unfortunate. I know, Ahmed bhai, when we speak about the national team, but this thing about the fitness, I would say, when you focus about a fitness thing, it starts from the grassroots level, from the under 19 level. Okay, fine. I don't want to go down the grassroots level because we don't have a structure of that. But still, at least you have got something for the under 19. Like you got international tours. The under 19 is even marketized, televised, so everyone knows about them. It starts from there. How seriously we take the under 19 fitness, everyone knows that. I've told you, like, we have got many tests, Bronco test, you got the yo-yo test, you got the beep test, you got different tests over there. How serious are that taken? That's the matter over here. When you speak about the club cricket, unfortunate, there's no kind of a fitness thing over here. It's now being carried on, like more than 1200 or more than 1500 matches or the fitness test even are being taken. But again, where will be that fitness test fit in? I mean, do we have a mechanism to actually have that online, so I can just go on and I can see, like Osama or anyone, how fitness level he has maintained, how is he focusing on the next level fitness? We don't have that kind of mechanism.
And the word you mentioned, player profiling, you always talk about
player
that.
Player profiling, because I mean, scouting is, remember I had a word like scouting, because I met a scout when he was over here with the Pakistan football team. And when he showed me that scouting thing, it's just not for cricket, it's just not for football. Even it's done for cricket. You have everything, every single posture of a player, how is he performing, which area he's performing, the heat map, which remember I was talking about his fitness thing, his everything, the market value and all that. Unfortunately, we don't have it over here. We need to mechanize this all things over here, especially your club cricket, unfortunately, which is run by the unfortunate, I'm going to say, which is run by many goons in Pakistan. They really need to understand what this club cricket is. You have got the players coming up from the club cricket which represent your district, which represent your first class cricket, where the players come up.
Absolutely.
It has been a joke for us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Saeed Mohammad Awais and Ali Mehdi, for joining us. That wraps up Sports Extra. Until the next show, from me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.